all along King Street, it's a mess. And in fact, we're at the Hotel Bennett. As we take a look at here, you can see what's happening. This is glass that was smashed right here, coming into the lobby of the Hotel Bennett. And again, you can see quite a bit of really glass is smashed pretty much everywhere. And these are very big and large windows. Hang on a minute, there's stuff going on. Let's we got a lot going on here, folks. Stand by. Let me look outside just for 1 second. Hold my door for me. So there's flashbangs going off. Whoa, we gotta get inside. There's a lot of shooting going on outside the Bennett.
A scary situation in downtown Charleston right now. Charleston Police Department telling civilians to avoid that area as the curfew is now in effect.
People were banging on our windows. They didn't really say anything. They seemed just upset with us being down there while we were trying to get out. We just heard a loud bang from the back. We didn't know, of course, what it was. It was extremely scary. We just said drive. Rob started driving down King Street. We turned down a side street just to get out of the way. Thank you, Rob. Rob got it open. So we, of course, have a bunch of shattered glass, and this is the brick that they threw inside.
Yeah, it was pretty scary. So I was driving at the time, and what happened was this rock here came through the window, and when it came through the back windshield here, obviously it shattered a lot of glass. Our producer, who is behind the camera right now, Allison, was here in the back seat. Now, when she was in the back seat, she said she felt some glass on her back as well. And at the time, we weren't sure what exactly happened because we were smelling smoke as well. And it was right after police shot off some tear gas just a block away from us. So we were getting some of that in our eyes, some stinging in our eyes. So we weren't sure exactly what came through the window here. But again, you can get a really good look here at how shattered it was. It was loud. We also heard some folks laughing as we were trying to pull away.
You know something what's interesting, Michael? I want to show you this. So you have these big palm trees, right, on King Street. Where are the rocks coming from? The rocks that they were using to smash windows are coming from here, from the bottom. Look, there's a knife. Look at that. There's a knife right there. That's a knife. Okay, somebody dropped a knife right there. So the rocks are coming from the bottoms of the palm trees. They're grabbing those big bricks and they're putting them into the windows, and that's where some of the rocks are coming from. I don't know who dropped their knife there, but there's a knife sitting right there.
Yeah, those rocks, Bill, are exactly what was thrown into the back of Abby O'Brien and Rob Way's vehicle.
Michael, yeah, we still have a few more hours until that curfew, but in the meantime, we have these protesters that started at Colonial Lake today. They walked down to White Point Gardens, and now they're marching over to Marion Square. You can see at least 3 dozen, maybe 4 dozen people out here protesting the same things that we've seen the last 7 days. They're calling for justice. They're calling for peace. You can see these signs that say Black Lives Matter. They have been coordinating it with the police, so they're trying their best to stay out on the sidewalks. And we do have that curfew that will be in place in just a few hours. I was also told that the city will be meeting tomorrow morning to discuss enacting a curfew for the weekend. That meeting will happen at 9:30 in the morning. But for now, people are taking advantage of the time they do have out here to sort of march and have their voices be heard. You can see one sign says enough is enough and stop killing us. This is some of the same messages that we've seen all throughout the weekend and into the week.
History in the making. You're watching it right now. The John C. Calhoun finally coming down after 17 hours and 6 minutes. And as a Charlestonian, a man who was born and raised here, I never thought I would see this sight. Did you?
Definitely not, Bill. That statue has been up there 124 years, went up in 1896, June 27th. So Saturday will officially mark 124 years that it has been standing in Marion Square, downtown Charleston. But right now you're watching, and John C. Calhoun is on his way down.
So I've got the mayor here. Tell me about your reaction.
Well, it's we're pleased to get this job done. It was a challenge getting Mr. Calhoun down. You could say it's been a challenge for 350 years, what slavery and racism has meant to this community and this country. So maybe fitting that it was a little challenging to get Mr. Calhoun off the perch.
Right now, Democratic presidential hopefuls are getting ready to take the debate stage right here in Charleston. And we have team coverage this afternoon of tonight's big showdown. Rob Way, Paola Tristan Arruda, and Bill Sharp all downtown right now in and around the Gilliard Center. We're going to start with Bill Sharp. Bill, this is a big night as the primary election closes in.
And it's happening in just 3 hours from now. 7 candidates will take the stage. And by the way, I had a chance to go and do some rehearsing yesterday on the stage. It is beautiful. You will see that tonight coming up at 8 o'clock here on CBS and Live 5.
Now, from the Low Country's news leader, this is Live 5 News.
We are just 1 hour away from where 7 Democratic presidential hopefuls take the debate stage right here in Charleston. They're going to be at the Gilliard Center downtown for that nationally televised debate that'll air right here on WCSC. Raphael James is live at the Gilliard Center. And Rolf, the countdown is on.
The countdown is on ahead of the First in the South primary this Saturday. Is the Democratic debate tonight, where these candidates take the stage and try once again to persuade voters in South Carolina to punch their names when they go to the ballot box.
We have team coverage continues of those presidential candidates. The Gilliard Center is where we find our Raphael James and Rob Way. Paola Tristan Arruda is live outside of the auditorium. First, though, let's go to Raphael James inside the spin room. And Rolf, what's the atmosphere like there now that the debate is over?
Well, Lisa, if the debate was the party, this is the after party where all of the candidates are now talking with the media who's gathered. Let's go to Rob Way, who's with Tom Steyer right now.
Someone who was on stage was Tom Steyer. So, Tom, walk me through your reaction coming out of that debate for your campaign.
Look, I was trying to distinguish myself. Look, the press wants to say
2020 coverage.
4 candidates hoping to become the next president of the United States, but they had to come through South Carolina at town halls tonight.
And they are happening right in our town in Charleston. This was CNN's second night of town halls of the week.
The candidates on stage tonight: former New York City Mayor Mike Bloomberg, former Vice President Joe Biden, Senators Amy Klobuchar and Elizabeth Warren. You are looking at a picture of the President's plane, Air Force One, as it makes its way into the Low Country, approaching Joint Base Charleston. We've been waiting for it to arrive for the last hour now.
Several of his biggest supporters on there too: Tim Scott, Lindsey Graham.
There he is, the President of the United States, with Senator Lindsey Graham and Senator Tim Scott addressing the crowd. They're gathered at the tarmac. I do not see First Lady Melania Trump. It doesn't look like she came with him on this visit. But here he is. This is the moment we've been waiting for. We are going back into the Coliseum now, as you heard the announcer as the president is coming into the arena. You see at the left side of your screen, there he is. He's coming in.
No doubt will take some time to wave hello, greet those supporters, make sure they get pictures of him.
Senator Lindsey Graham at the left there, and Senator Tim Scott shaking his hand as the president walks up towards the stage, satisfying this crowd of 13,000 people, some of them who've been waiting a very long time outside to get on the inside.
Hello, Charleston, and I'm thrilled to be back in the great state of South Carolina, with thousands of hard-working American patriots who believe in faith, family, God, and country. Thank you. It's a phenomenal crowd, only topped by the number of people outside that didn't get it.
Driver limousines!
We're rewarding bad behavior. That's the way I look at it. Now that I know about this payout, and our chase from last year, to me, I think he just ran because he thought, hey, I'll get another payout. And that's not right. I mean, that's my tax dollars and your tax dollars.
I'm still down by the Charleston City Market on Church Street. Take a look behind me here. You can just get a sense of how strong the wind is. Now, we've really started to see it pick up over the past hour, but take a look at this. We have an awning that is down right here. Now, this is outside Bird's Famous Cookies and the Spice and Tea Exchange, and you can just see the damage goes all the way down the street here on Church Street to all these different awnings. But that's not all. If you come over here as well, you can get a sense of this too. We have a downed street light here. It's a stop sign here on South Market Street.
Back down on Front Street, Raphael, where we noticed a lot of business owners coming to check out how bad the damage and the flooding was. This is that area of Front Street in Orange. It's been flooded really since about 11 o'clock this morning. Now we're here at the New Beginnings Hair Nail Salon. The owners just got here to check and see how things were looking. Unfortunately, it's pretty flooded, guys.
Oh,
flip it around.
There is a tree in the roadway, and we
Highway
can't
78.
pass on Highway. Let's flip it. Right in front of us, you can kind of see we're on Highway 78, and we can't actually pass through here now.
We can't. So we're going to do a flip around really quickly. There was a car that just came around the other side, so I want to be really careful with this. But this is just as you are headed towards Somerville on Highway 78, right past the Ladson Exchange Fairgrounds. We're going to be real careful right here. But if you take a look, oh, and it's brought down power lines as well.
We will continue to bring you updates from here, but right now this is the brunt of what we have seen so far in Mount Pleasant at Waterfront Park. Stay with us. We'll bring you all the information coming up here in just a few more minutes.
Take a look at this video. I took this from our car because I did not want to get out because, as you can see, there is so much water in the road. You never want to go near those electric wires. But there were certainly explosions you could hear from blocks away, and that is how we heard it all.
The biggest predicament we've had over the last hour, you can see right over here, they've taken down the last volleyball court net. So the fun is over here on Folly Beach. It is time to get serious. There's no more volleyball to be played. This storm is coming. Everyone is getting ready.
The latest satellite imagery, notice how it is tugging to the north, chugging to the north, and then all of a sudden there's a little bit of a turn in the last hour or so off to the northeast. We want that.
One of our volunteers here is Mayor John Tecklenburg from Charleston. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Well, thank you. First, thanks to Channel 5 for this incredible citizen service, and the phones are lighting up right now. Y'all have done a great job of getting information out to our citizens when they need it.
The town of Mount Pleasant is hoping a judge will block the release of a police report involving a town official.
Police reporter Harv Jacobs joins us live from the newsroom. And Harv, you've been trying to get this document for several months, and now the lawyers are throwing up a new legal roadblock.
Yes, Ann and Bill, Live 5 has been named in this court document. It all stems from a request for a report of an alleged assault at Carriole Middle School that happened last October. The apparent victim is the daughter of the town official. The official's name is hidden in the report, which we maintain is a violation of the Freedom of Information Act.
It's been 30 years since Hurricane Hugo slammed into our coast, changed us forever. I'm Chief Meteorologist Bill Walsh. You know, back then, before Super Doppler, before high-resolution models, it was a sense of community and experience that got us through.
The increased forward speed and the increased winds are making this a very severe storm.
The late, great Charlie Hall was the calm voice as the most powerful storm to hit the U.S. in decades approached. The radar was 1950s vintage, and the official National Hurricane Forecast only went out 3 days, but coastal South Carolina officials took the warnings seriously.
Lincoln High was the designated safe place for McClellanville residents the night of Hugo, but it turned out to be just the opposite. The people who spent the night here thought they were going to die. Marie Facine was a girl when Hugo roared into town. Everyone but her dad decided to head to Lincoln High that Thursday evening.
I was only 10 years old, so it was kind of a fun day, you know, almost like a sleepover, you know, everybody with pillows and blankets.
Marie and her family were assigned to the band room located at the back of the school. They headed that way around 8:30.
We could hear the wind outside. Occasionally the door and the windows would rattle. But again, we were just playing games and having fun, almost like a sleepover.
Around 12:30 that night, everyone started to settle down and go to sleep. But about 30 minutes later, water started seeping under the door.
At first, it started coming in very slow. And then the band room actually has steps down, so the water started filling the very bottom of the band room area. And at that time, we started stacking tables and chairs, and that's where we started to stand on top of tables and chairs.
In some parts of the school, people were putting their children in the ceiling to keep them out of the water. Marie was standing on a chair on top of a table.
The water actually got up to probably almost to my shoulders at that point in the band room area. And then remember, we didn't have any electricity, so it was also very dark. So not only are we, the water's coming in, but it's also dark. You can't really see who's next to you, what's next to you at that point. So yeah, it was very scary.
Marie wasn't going to be able to keep her head above water for much longer, and her mother knew it.
She was standing on top of the table next to me, and as the water began to rise, she grabbed me and put me on her shoulder.
Marie stayed perched on her mom's shoulders for about an hour and a half until finally the water started to recede a little and she could stand on her own again. The entire night, they were standing on tables and chairs in Hugo floodwater.
We sang, we prayed, yes ma'am. We sang, we definitely sang, and we prayed.
And although no one ever said the words out loud, death was on everyone's mind.
I did not think we were going to make it through the night. It was just that scary. And of course, for a 10-year-old at that time, to think that, you're probably going to die, not even really knowing what dying means at that point, it was just terrifying. It really was.
This plaque marks the official water line inside Lincoln High that night. Look how high it is over Marie's head even now as a full-grown adult. McClellanville Mayor Rutledge Leland says emergency officials thought the school would have been a safe place for a shelter.
It's a long way from the water, and nobody would have ever thought that that would be a problem. But as it turns out, it was not that high above sea level, and the water came in from the northern part of town and came right into Lincoln.
The mayor says because of what happened here at Lincoln High, there's no longer a designated shelter here in McClellanville. Instead, folks are simply urged to get out. Teacher Madison Hines says her students have different sensory needs, which means learning the alphabet and numbers are more challenging. But something called a color-changing light table would benefit all of the students, no matter their disability. Her request on the Donors Choose website is, "Let there be light." She explains adding color and light will make learning these necessary skills enjoyable by grabbing my students' attention, unlike typical classroom manipulatives are able to. Help bring light to the special needs students in Ms. Hines' class. Just $206 will complete her request.